Welcome to the Reticle Up podcast, where I, 3Gun Kenzie, will be interviewing competitive shooters, hunters, fishermen, archers, entrepreneurs, and outdoorsmen. Come learn with me as I interview people from all walks of life, in different disciplines, all across the world, from novices to professionals of all ages. No matter what, everyone has something they can teach you, so come join me on the journey. All right, everyone. On this week's episode, I have Jack Smith. If you haven't heard of him, you'll hear Grip It and Rip It, and that's him on social media. So he's a 3-gun competitor, and he's also with BattleBuddy3Gun, part of the founding members there. So, Jack, how are you?
Mackenzie, I'm doing great.
Oh, you have to start it that way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, I'm doing great. May's a little bit busy for me, but I'm doing outstanding. Thank you. How are you doing?
I'm good. My name is Kenzie, not Mackenzie.
Well, I mean, if we have to pull out driver's licenses, we'll check, but okay.
Dang it. So, okay, we first met 3Gun Nation Nationals, I guess, in 2019.
Yeah, you were RO in that match, I think.
By myself. I now remember this. Yeah.
Were you? I don't.
Oh, yeah.
I remember shooting your stage. Yeah, that was a interesting match.
It was the X stage. Yeah, and you crushed shotgun. Actually, I want to start off with that. So your shotgun set up with the left side charging handle, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Tell me about how advantageous that is.
Okay, so obviously my buddy Joe Farewell, maybe somebody knows him. No, he I took one of his classes. He had a dissident gun that was left side charging. And I immediately thought that it was going to be a game changer. So I run my ARs left side charging with Devil Dog Concepts.
Mm-hmm.
Let me give you a little background to get into your question. So military for 10 years, ran the AR platform as it was, and nobody could have changed my mind. I thought the platform was perfect. Just the ergonomics of it, how it runs. I just thought it was perfect. You couldn't make it any better. Mm-hmm. It's good exactly what it does. Then I stumbled on Devil Dog Concepts. It's been a while now. They put a charging handle on somebody else's gun. He asked me if I could put it on. It's the easiest thing in the world. I put it on, and I'm just standing there holding the gun, and I'm racking it. And immediately I'm like, wow, this is better. And it changed my whole perspective on the AR platform, where I'm like, left side charging is kind of it. It really makes all the difference. So I put one on my gun. Anyways, that brings us to your shotgun question. The second that I saw there was a shotgun out there that was left side charging, I'm sure other companies have done it. Maybe they've done it before, but I didn't see it. So through my eyes, it was a big deal. I knew I needed to have one. It really makes it super easy to manipulate the firearm being a right-handed shooter. Especially, shotguns are always empty. It's the biggest problem with a tube-fed shotgun. They're never.
You're not supposed to do that, though.
Yeah, but they're always empty. It doesn't matter. So it's empty, and it just makes so much more sense that it goes across all my platforms. All of my guns now are left side charging, and it really just makes sense. So
yeah, and your PC is set up that way too. Yeah,
Devil Dog Concepts, they hook it up. I got them on all my guns. They're like an OG Jack Shoot supporter for sure. I love them. I beat the hell out of all of my guns, but it's a really good setup. I enjoy everything left side charging. I really do. So
I'm really glad that you talk about yourself in third person.
Yeah, well, I mean, I got to throw it out there. We could talk about myself in any perspective that you would like, but
I love it. So did you start 3-gun first, or did you shoot like USPSA or something else before diving in?
No, 3-gun was my first ever match. I jumped right in. Obviously it takes a little bit longer to get set up to shoot 3-gun, but that was my first match. I was in the military. It's probably 2008 or 9. I got a buddy, his name's Ryan. He probably won't listen to this because he's MIA 24/7, but he's the one who got me into 3-gun. So I blame him for all my financial hardships.
Absolutely. 100%. It's his fault.
It is.
The best advice that I can give all you people wanting to get in 3-gun is to not do that.
No, it's awesome. So here's the thing. Let's get into that. So I teach a little bit. I don't teach a whole lot. But I think in the past, I've ran the $5,000 ARs, and I have the the expensive shotguns and all these things. But to be competitive in the sport, you don't need to spend big money. Running the Kratos rifle, my rifle without optics, the way you see it is a $1,600 gun. So you can go to this, and that I can go to any match, and if I do what I need to do, I could win with that gun.
Yeah.
It's just as fast as some of these crazy guns. I've run the crazy guns. They're awesome. You think you need them? You don't need it. Put a good trigger on it. Get some put a comp on it, and any kind of glass that you want to, and you could run it. But I think that's really cool, because that's a big deal that turns people off, right?
Oh, 100%. 100%.
You could go to USPSA, spend big money on one gun, you'll be good, but that's 1/3 of the issue with 3-gun.
Yeah. And talk about what you started with. Like, what were your first 3 guns that you started with versus like, what you run now?
Oh, okay. Awesome. I ran a Remington Versamax for years. That was the gun. So when I got the Dissonant gun that I shoot currently, I sold the Versamax, and I sold it for like no money. Somebody was looking to get it in 3-gun. I think I gave it to him for like $100. Now that gun probably had like 150,000 rounds through it. So it had put its time in. Started off with a Glock 17, which I think is a phenomenal gun to shoot 3-gun with. 2011s are cool, but the Glock 17 is probably one of the best
first.
all around.
That was my first. That was one everybody borrowed. Yeah, Glock 17.
It just runs, right? Like you don't have to think about it. You could let it sit for 9 months, pull it out, and it's just gonna run.
Yeah.
And then I obviously had some, being in the military, I actually had a couple ARs just laying around. I had some Frankenstein gun. I put a Hyperfire trigger in it, and this is like super old school. It came in a sandwich bag. This was how it came from Hyperfire, and maybe they'll know. At least that's the way I think. It came in a sandwich bag with a card with Hyperfire and little to no instructions on how to put it in. And if you know Hyperfire, you know that it's like a completely different trigger. And so it blew my mind for like 6 months. But I ended up getting in the gun. I still have that trigger. It still runs great, actually. But it was like a Frankenstein gun. I probably ran some Vortex glass on it, and it was a 14 5-inch gun, which is important to me. I got away from the 14 5-inch platform for a while, but I'm right back to it now because I think it's probably the best length firearm for 3-gun.
And you can shoot distance like 600 yards with that?
So I'm lucky enough to have a 500-yard range at my disposal at all times. And not me, but with the gun vise and zeroing it, that the 14 5-inch gun is good for 6-inch round steel at 500 every day of the week. And I've pushed the round with good ammo. There's no reason why you can't shoot 650, 700 with that length gun. It's once with 5.56 with the ballistics, without getting crazy. When you start getting down to 10, 11, that's when it gets a little tricky. But 14 to 18, it's you're not really. I'm not bullseye shooting. I'm not shooting any long range stuff. It's good enough for every match that I've been. So.
Yeah. And okay, so a lot of people don't see that journey of shooters going from like what they first started with versus like what they have now. I think, and I'm probably not right, but I'm finally at the point that I have all of my gear, right? So how long did it take you, to get every single thing from shotgun caddies, mag pouches, even if you think about, your rangefinder, like how long did that take?
So I'm still acquiring things that I find that I need, but I'm a firm believer in like buying, one thing once. So this is the original belt that I started off with, right? Safariland ELS. Now, obviously, we've changed everything on it 3 or 4 times, but it's still the original. I've never had to buy a new belt, same inner belt, same everything. I put the ratcheting system on it like years ago before I think Carbon Arms even started to make it up. I saw somebody do it.
Is that the M2 buckle?
Yeah, I made it. It's a snowboard binding. I used to snowboard when I was younger, so I immediately knew that I could make it, and that's what we did. I started 3-gun when quad loading wasn't even a thing, or I still have the caddies, I don't even know what they're called, but the Safariland like 4-up where you would like roll shells into the gun. Yeah.
Look how old you are, showing your age.
I'm not real young. I just started I started early. I remember watching guys. 3-Gun Nation was on the TV, so it was cool.
Yeah, it used to be on the Outdoor Channel. Now they don't do that anymore, which would be cool.
unfortunately. I remember watching like Keith Garcia, who
yeah.
I speak to now, and I remember coming up through all this stuff, and I'm like, man, yeah, that's awesome. And now I'll send Keith a message and we'll chat for a second. Like he's super cool guy. So
that's awesome.
Very interesting.
Going back to when you said I'm still acquiring things that you need, is it need or is it you want?
Okay, yeah, it's probably that I want. I think you could shoot 3-gun with pretty minimal gear. You don't, but when you travel for a 3-gun match, how much stuff do you bring? Yeah, it's a nightmare. Some people have lists. I like to wing it. I just kind of figure it out. Like I'm like,
though?
I have flown, but I don't normally fly. I seem to be always in the area where I can get to it and pretty good, but I just like to wing it, like we'll just figure it out.
No. I mean, to be fair, like you can meet up with people there saying like, hey, do you have this stuff that I can borrow so I don't have to put it on my suitcase? But yeah, flying is a nightmare for 3-gun at least.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it takes some gear if you want to go and do the best that you absolutely can. And especially after you acquire everything.
And you look like an idiot with your carry-on backpack with your belt attached.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We were just talking before this started. We have rooms dedicated in our house to firearms.
Yeah.
I tell everybody, I bought a firing range, a shooting range, but it came with a house. I was lucky enough. And then I also bought like a gun room, but it also came for a place for me to sleep in this all white room in here. So I got pretty lucky.
I had the same conversation with someone yesterday because I'm looking at buying property eventually up here. And I was like, and I don't give a shit about the house. I just want like a trailer. He's like, I know Clayton trailers. And I was like, cool. I don't care about where I sleep.
No, I bought the area because I knew that I had an easy set. So on what I have here, 75 yards for like, and I could shoot anything on it, which is good enough for me to do all the little things that I want to do. But let them cut the corn down, then we can shoot 1,100 meters out the backyard. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So thinking about you starting, like diving in, going into 3-gun, I wrote my friend Betsy into 3-gun. That was her first match. It was awesome to watch. Anyways, but it was probably painful, right? Probably a little painful. But what would you tell someone, that wants to get started what would you tell them to come shoot a match? What would it take for them to get out there?
I don't think it would take absolutely anything. I've done it with a couple people. It would take a 15-minute conversation with me talking about how to be safe and then showing up because I have all the guns and the gear that we need to make it happen.
What about the ammo?
Well, ammo's a little bit tricky right now. I'm still stocked up, but that's not like it was a couple of years ago where I would bring you along and then I would give you all the ammo too. Like that's not a big deal. I was paying like 13 cents a round. Now it hurts a little bit.
Yeah.
But I don't think you don't need anything. The community and shooting community in general, competitive shooting community is so good. You could show up and you're like, hey, I think I'm going to get involved, and somebody will hand you. They're like, here you go, shoot this, and you don't even know what this is. You're like, well, this is.
Or how much it is. Here's $4,000.
Yeah, but nobody cares. And I do a lot of teaching. BattleBuddy3Gun. I put my guns in people's hands all the time that have never shot or don't know what they're holding, kind of like with that. But it doesn't matter because if nobody's going to treat these firearms worse than me, I'm really bad about cleaning them. I won't lie. I really don't do a good job with it. We throw them in barrels. We do, you're shy of you running over with your vehicle. It's not a big deal. So if you can break it, then that means I would have broken it eventually. So I'm not stressing over it.
I break everything that I own. I had to buy a new upper for my PCC. It just got here actually.
Yeah, you do. You're always telling me that you've broken something, and I break absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I don't understand that. So go ahead.
Okay, I was just gonna say. I mean, I can't think of one firearm that I've ever actually broken and like needed to. My guns just run.
I try. Yeah. Anyways, that's a whole different. PCC is a beast. What do you think the biggest excuses that you hear a lot from like shooters or people taking your classes about like why they don't go out and train or practice?
Well, obviously lately now ammo is a big deal. And I do when I teach, I try to, I get a lot of questions like, hey, how many rounds do I need? And this time, lately, I'm super flexible. So you can come to me, we can go like a 2-hour class with 50 rounds and really get a lot of good work out of it.
Yeah.
Now, in the past, a couple of years ago, 250, 300, 400 rounds, we can blow through that.
Yeah.
Or we can make every shot count with 50. Like my range sessions have really changed a lot. It wasn't uncommon. I can go to the range and shoot 300-400 rounds, no problem, in an hour, and get some good work out of it. Or I could really be deliberate in the process, shoot 50 and really get some good work out of it. So, ammo's tricky. Gear is tricky for 3-gun. The money, obviously. But again, I've tried to really get into, at least for myself, I'll buy the best gear on the market. I don't care what it costs. I really don't.
I do the same thing.
But
buy ones, cry ones. At least that's at the level I'm at now, right? Like starting out, that was not the case. It was run what you got, run what you can borrow, and now it's like, okay, I can pick and choose what works for me.
Absolutely. But with that, like I said, I'll buy anything. If I think something's better, I'll get it. If I think it's gonna help me out. But I find myself now finding comparable items for way better prices, like with the Kratos rifle. Again, $1,600. You can go get like I haven't bought an AR in a long time, but maybe like an Anderson rifle right now probably be like $1,000. And I'm making money up here, but guns have gone up. Yeah. So for an extra $600, you can go get a gun that you could run anywhere and win. You'd never have to upgrade from the firearm. You just wouldn't.
Yeah.
Rifles. I think the AR platform is tricky because realistically, you spend a decent amount of money on an upper. You put a good trigger on it and some good glass, and you've got a very competitive gun. You don't need anything else.
Yeah. Something you mentioned before, and I think it's really important. I'm now a trigger snob, like 100% trigger snob across the board.
Okay.
And I put the Hyperfire back in my primary gun because I was playing around with triggers. So I have like 3 different types. But how important is it, and I'm serious about this, for people listening to change their stock trigger eventually or sooner rather than later?
So I think it's definitely top 3, right? So you get an AR, you want to make it the best possible. It doesn't matter what name's on the lower receiver.
Yeah.
Most guns are gonna, you can buy the $500 AR. You're probably going to be able to get impacts out to 300-400 meters, no problem. The barrel's not going to be that bad. Yep. They're all pretty much manufactured very similar. It's going to be good. So trigger being the top 3 for sure. Trigger is going to help you get those impacts. The problem with mil spec triggers that I've ran forever, and I've got one in the trunk of my car, I still run it. You have to know a little. You can't get lucky with a mil spec trigger, right? Like let's be honest. I talk about all the upgrades as they're not going to make you better. Like you're not going to get the best trigger on the market and just automatically get hits, right?
Right.
But it allows you to relax the fundamentals sometimes where, maybe you're in a weird position, or maybe something's a little bit different and you don't pull it exactly the right way. Well, with the better trigger, you have a better percentage to get that hit. So it allows you to do things a little bit where if you're messing up with a mil spec 7-pound trigger, you're going to have a time, right? Like you really are.
No, it's 100%. What are the other 2 then? Trigger, and what are the other 2?
Well, compensator for sure, because I think you run the UM, don't you?
Oh yeah, Rage Tactical or Rage UM Tactical is the best break.
How long did I tell you to run the UM before you ran the UM?
Listen, Jack, how long have I told you to wear Hunter's HD Gold and you haven't put them on yet? And then once you'll realize that is something you need and want.
Okay, listen, you're right. I'll look into that. Okay. But you didn't answer the question because it was a long time.
Yeah.
No. Something, and there's a lot of good compensators. I've ran a lot of them. The thing about it, so that first ever 3-gun rifle, I don't know what comp was on the gun, but between the rifle length gas, the compensator, and just the way that gun was set up, it was the flattest shooting gun that I had ever shot. And I've shot big bunny guns, so I stayed with that gun for a long time. It was time to upgrade. We got away from it.
Yeah.
But so a good compensator, It just kind of depends, because most of them, they're not tunable. That's why is on a different level, because now I know I've got one comp, and if I change rifles next year, I take it off and we mess with the recipe, and all of a sudden it's perfect again.
So for those people like listening who probably never heard of the Rage, right? This muzzle brake and what's in it, can you explain the washer system and what you're talking about for the recipe?
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure you get like five washers, different, and what it does in the kit, they direct the gases. So you can tune the gun to the ammo, to, you know, if you've got, I run adjustable gas on my gun, so I can get my adjustable gas tuned in to where my gun runs the way I want it to, and then tune the comp to the adjustable gas. What it does is, you don't really realize how much of a difference that some things make until you put it on the gun. It tunes the gun to you. So maybe Mackenzie, maybe you're gripping the rifle a little bit harder than I'm gripping the rifle, right? Maybe you put a lot more input into the rifle, and that's the way that you like to shoot it. You can tune the compensator to how you shoot the gun.
Yep.
If you pick up my rifle, maybe it doesn't feel as good as your gun, and we're running the same comp. It really, the possibilities are endless. It's such a good design. I was super pumped when I got it and really started to mess with it. The best way I describe it to people is I'm just steering the gun. Like, I'm grabbing the gun and I just steer it from target to target. That's all I'm doing. There's little to no input. I could rip the trigger as fast as I can, and the gun just wants to stay where it is, and I just have to steer it to the next target.
Yeah. I mean, rifles already don't have, you know, huge blowback or huge recoil, but we've changed the game with ours. And I think that was really important too, when you touched on tuning it to yourself. So anybody could borrow your gun and still have a good time, right? But when you start getting into that competitive level, yeah, you absolutely want to change everything for your cheek weld, your line of sight, your grip, everything. So you want to customize that rifle, or even shotgun. I've seen people stipple their grips. I've seen people duct tape like a riser to the stock. I mean, all sorts of stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's important.
Oh, yeah. No, it is. You know, you get, the more and more you're around these things, you'll notice like change and stuff. That's like the first thing. I get a new gun and I'm immediately like, brand new gun, and I've got it taken apart, and I've got a Dremel, and I'm fixing things that I want it to do.
Yeah, I take that trigger out first, just throw that in the trash, and never want to see it again.
Yeah.
100%.
No, yeah, I've got a stockpile of mil-spec triggers in my gun room that have came out of guns because we put better ones in there. So it's definitely interesting.
That's awesome. So are you switching to open with the dot?
Yeah. No, I am. I've been thinking about it for a long time. So I do plan on being able to shoot both divisions, right? And teaching, I want to be able to go ahead and work with both divisions and have sets of guns. So I want to be able to do both. But at the end of the day, I just want to go fast. And where else? How much faster can you go? And I love loading the shotgun.
You're fast with it. I've seen you shoot that.
Yeah, I enjoy it. But the pistol was the biggest deal for me. So I've purposely stayed away from open division pistols. I think I've only ever shot one, and I've had the opportunity to shoot a lot of them. I didn't mess with it. I didn't want to, because I knew that as soon as I shot it, I'd be like, okay. And then in a couple of months, I'd have one at the house. Well, that's how it happened. I actually shot a Bull open division pistol, not the one that I have, but shot it. I was like, yeah, this is pretty awesome. And I tried to just put it out of my mind, and it stayed. And then next thing I know, I was searching for what I wanted, because Bull was back ordered, and I ended up getting a good setup. Got the pistol, had the shotgun coming, and the rifle doesn't change, right?
Yeah. You could put the offset on it, but yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, essentially it's the same thing. So,
well, I mean, there's some stability though with that, with the bipod or bag ability. Like when we were at, I want to say Multi-Gun Nationals, and shoot, when I was at a different match, oh God, Mountain State, tripod would have been freaking awesome. So even us trying to like sit on a coupled mag didn't work out, or just trying to sit on a D60, it's a pain in the ass. Yeah.
So I've never used bipods on my gun, but certainly, because now I can. I have bipods. I have bipods on like bolt guns.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm gonna mess with it for sure. it's taking anything that you can work out to go faster. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So that's what we're gonna do.
What shotgun you gonna run?
DC Precision is building me a gun right now, another shorty left side charging gun.
Is that the KL12 or whatever that they're working with?
I'd have to. I know off the top of my. I know, but I don't know right now. We could look it up, but I met David a couple times. If you've seen some of the work that he does, there's no doubt that he does phenomenal work on anything that he touches.
Yeah.
So pretty excited. That gun should be here probably by July. I'm assuming.
Nice. Okay, so you're just gonna go straight and open after that.
Yeah. Well, I'm just gonna load my tube full of 13 and go shoot the next match. But yes, I do want one of them box fed boys. I need to work that out.
You could get the Jerry Mitchell like tube loader thingies.
Let me ask you a question. I talk about this all the time with anybody who sees Jerry load. Have you ever seen anybody run sticks the way that Jerry does?
I've seen someone run sticks, but it was the ugliest and most painful experience I've ever had. And then when Jerry does it, I was like, what just happened? I didn't even see it happen. It's like the flash.
I've seen a lot of people run the sticks, and Jerry is the only one in this world that I've ever seen run the sticks the way he does.
In the world.
I'm telling you, like that dude is a monster, and he's one of the nicest guys you ever want to meet in your entire life. But nobody can run them the way that he does. I wouldn't even dream about trying, because I've seen 15, 20 people just fail miserably. Very good shooters, like it's not like they were. It's just once in a while they get a good load, but 80% of the time it's garbage. So I'm not even gonna mess with it. Jerry's the only one that can run those sticks. Bottom line.
I love it. So you've branded yourself. Where did the grip it and rip it phrase come from, and why do you have your own apparel line?
Good question. So I like to have a good time, right? Like, I mean, that's number one thing. Nobody's gonna have more fun than me wherever we're going. So I straight up stole it from the legend John Daly. I don't know if you know about John Daly. John Daly's a golfer.
No, I don't watch golf.
I don't watch golf either, but you'll watch John Daly, believe me. The guy's a legend. And as soon as we get done with this, look him up and you'll see why. But it's something that he said associated with golf. He used to hit the ball real far. Again, I'm not a big golf fan, so don't quote me on any of my terminology here. I'm not sure. But that was his thing. And I heard him say it on a documentary that I watched of him like a while ago. And I thought it was awesome. I was like, wow, that's cool. And then more and more teaching, and people talk about the grip. And I like to joke around, and I used to pull the trigger kind of fast. I don't know that I do anymore, but people were like, well, how do you, what do you do? What's your grip? I'm like, dude, I don't know. I just grip it and rip it. Like, I grip the gun as hard as I can, and I pull the trigger as fast as I can. I'm like, the hits will fall where they may. That is what it is. But that's where it came from. And I'm like, oh, that's hilarious. And it's been a while now. So I stole it from them. I brought it into the community, the shooting community. I see a lot of people messing around with it a little bit, but I stole it from John, and I brought it into this community. I want to take full credit for it. Jeff at Lima Charlie made me a shirt.
Just one? There's only one in existence?
No, he sells them on the website. You can get them. You can get them. I got about 15 in the closet. I can wear one every single day.
I mean, you do owe me a side charging handle, now out of shirt. That whole shipment's like years delayed.
I got a box over here. I'll start throwing it in there. We'll talk about it. I can work that out. Yeah, that side charging handle is. I had one for you, and I gave it to Brian Church. So talk to him about it.
What, Brian? That's garbage.
I agree. Talk to him about it. And he's local, and I got Brian into 3-gun. Side note.
I know. Somebody. Aaron Sellers was saying like, yeah, Brian used to shoot USPSA until his boy Jack stole him away, and I was like, yeah. Yeah.
So I'm Brian's Ryan. From my friend Ryan.
Right.
All of his financial hardships, are on me. So I'll accept that. And he reminds me of that all the time. Like, he just got the new JM 940. Mm-hmm. He called me. He's like, dude, I just bought this gun. And he's like, thanks, dude. I appreciate it. I got to worry about, I got to figure this out. I was like, dude, it's my pleasure.
Yeah.
And I call my buddy with that stuff. I'm like, thanks, man. Just bought this. this pistol, you know, I gotta eat ramen noodles for 6 months now to get back on my feet.
Yep. Yeah, Betsy did 1-3-gun, then she got into PRS, got her Tika, and now she's building a custom one. And then her husband, I dragged into 3-gun, and he went to a class with me, and then Malin went to a match, and now it's a chain. But it makes a difference.
Isn't it so addictive though? Like if you
like have, little baby birds too, like you're really excited that you like grew them.
No, I mean, it's awesome. And I'll tell you what, Brian Church is a way better shooter than I am. Brian has, so my biggest downfall is visual patience. I have 0 of it, and I work so hard on it.
Visual patience?
Yeah, visual patience
across the board.
No, I'm very patient, believe me. But visual patience, I see, and I'm like, whatever, I'm good. That's my biggest problem. Brian has, me and him are on opposite ends of the spectrum. Like, he has the most visual patience in the world. Like he'll wait and he'll take that extra 10 and get the hit, where I'll shoot it a half second faster and have 4 makeup shots. And again, and I'm working so hard. That's all I work on lately is just trigger manipulation and visual patience. Cause that is if I can get that under wraps, I'd be a dangerous fun guy in the 3-gun community, but it's going to take a while because I have none of it.
Okay. You've got to show this again, because I think it's really important. We teach proper grip for shooters, and there is a proper grip, at least getting like high up on the gun, right? And holding it correctly and all of that recoil management. However, you can tweak things to how you grip the gun. So if you want to show your grip again, or explain for people listening, how you put your finger over the trigger guard and how you're not actually moving the gun left or right, even with that on there.
Yeah. Okay. So even without all the gadgets and the gizmos on this, I grip all my guns that allow me to, with my finger over the trigger guard, regardless of thumb rests or anything like that. I grip my old 2011 this way. If my Glock doesn't have a light, I grip it that way. Mm-hmm. Here's the reason why. My hands fit better here, and this is a very repeatable grip for me. I want to shoot the gun like this. I really do. I promise you, I do. This is this is the way that I would teach you to shoot the gun. Yeah. I would teach you to shoot it this way, but at the same time, it's not a big deal either way. But my hands don't seem to mesh together. It doesn't want to fit the right way every time. And in turn, I get an inconsistent grip. When your grip's inconsistent, then I get inconsistent shots on target. And that, you know, obviously we look like a jerk, you know, making Instagram videos because you never hit the target. But literally my hands fit together very well this way. And so they fall the same place every time, and it's very repeatable. And that's the number one thing we need in shooting is we need repeat performance, right? Because anybody can, you know, take 10 takes and shoot whatever you want and make a good video. But, you know, like Donovan will point one tactics, right? Back to back. So back to back, this grip is the same every single time, and it feels very comfortable. Now, what I'm not doing is I'm not running any pressure on my finger really, but most of my grip comes from, you know, the top parts of my hands. I'm really squeezing the gun between the top parts of my hands up here. That's where I'm really focusing my grip when I think about it. The finger literally just stays up there. I used to run an old STI with a plastic grip, and it's literally like that thin. And I used to tell people that if I really squeeze that part of the grip, I'm sure I would break it. And you know, I've got a grip test strength thing over here because I was curious about it. But I really do focus on gripping the gun real hard. Yeah. And this being a metal grip, it's a little bit different. I might not could break this one. But on the STI, it's thin, it's double undercut. And if I was really squeezing with my pointer finger, you know, it would be, I'm sure I would tear it apart. So I'm not focusing. It just falls up there. Just get it out of the way. And I just try to grip the gun as tight as I can without shaking, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so you instruct as well. And besides like concealed carry classes and all of that, you know, people take to get their permits, what are some other things that you know, students need to sign up for, other classes, and why is it important that they go get educated?
So concealed carry class too. I don't teach that. Let's get that out of the way.
Okay. Brian does.
Yeah, Brian does that.
Your boyfriend does. So you do the other.
Yeah. No. And the only reason being is it's the most boring thing in the world for me. It's important. I want everybody to get their concealed carry classes. I think you teach it.
Yeah.
I don't enjoy it. But being educated, and I know you take classes. I continue to take classes, like continuing education. It's like being a doctor, right? Like
you can't stop because shit changes. Like, I signed up for Travis Mozzi's class in August, and it's 2-day, and I cannot wait. And he shoots limited, so that's my primary 3-gun, and that's why I shoot in USPSA. So
yeah, no, it's a big deal. You have to continue. Somebody has something to offer you. I teach all the time, and I'll learn something from somebody who's just started shooting.
100%.
So it's not about whether you go to a JJ class. You're going to learn a lot. You study for the next 4 or 5 years to get it right. Or it's just, you could, from anybody has something to offer. It's always something.
That's why we have you as a beginner who kind of knows nothing on the show.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Hey, listen, I'm just the guy that likes to pull the trigger as fast as I possibly can, and sometimes I hit the target.
Yeah. People are not going to understand our humor for a little bit on some of these episodes.
Yeah.
But going back to what do you teach, and why should they come out and take a class that's not concealed carry classes?
Yeah, so I'll teach anything. I enjoy teaching. I figured that out when I was in the military. I taught for my last 3 years. Never had any desire to teach until I went there, and then I realized that So here's the thing, and not to get off your question. You could be the best shooter in the world or the best at anything, right? It doesn't matter, but it doesn't mean you could teach it.
Yeah, 100%.
And at the same time, you could be a mediocre guy, but be a really good teacher and really open people's eyes. That's where I think I fall. Yeah,
me too.
That's where I think I fall. I understand what I need to do. And I'll tell you what, I do some of my best shooting in those classes because I'm super hyper focused on just the little things that we're talking about. Where like I go somewhere else and I'm like, oh, now I've got a bunch of stuff, so I probably got to just get it straight. But regardless, I'll teach anything. I love the pistol. I think when somebody comes to me for like looking to get involved in 3-gun or better at shooting in general, and they're like, well, I kind of want to do rifle and pistol, or rifle and this, or I think pistol is the best platform to learn on, and because every mistake that you make with a pistol is amplified times 100, right? Like if you're pulling the trigger like a jerk, you're pulling the trigger like a jerk with the rifle too. You could just get away with it. It's not a big deal, if you refine the trigger manipulation on the pistol and can get the hits the way you want them to, your rifle shooting is going to improve. Your vision technique is going to improve with the pistol, because every little thing you do wrong with the pistol, you look silly. You can miss a target at 7 yards. It's no problem. Probably not going to do it with a rifle, but people miss 7-yard targets all the time.
Oh, 100%.
It's not uncommon. So.
100%. Yeah, I had my Atlas at the demo bay at Low Cap Nationals for my friends to shoot, and I didn't do so hot at limited 10 minor. Anyways, they're like making fun of me. They're like, you have that gun that shoots for yourself, or shoots for you. I was like, listen. So I handed it to them. Sure as shit, like 5-7 yards away is all this steel, and it's miss. I'm like, yeah.
So hear me out. I love that. I love that. The gun. Like I said, I think all the goodies allow you to relax the fundamentals sometimes, but you still have to do it. So I've got a good story for that. Shot that Glock 17 for a long time, right? I'm still not a great pistol shooter, but I was a really, really bad pistol shooter for a very long time. I really was. I never took any classes. I thought I just figured out by shooting a lot of rounds. It never worked. But what I thought was going to make me better, and this is early on, obviously, is I'm going to get a 2011, right? All the big guys are shooting 2011. I'm like, that's going to make me a better shooter. So I bought a 2011. A double stack. I think it was a Caspian built gun. It wasn't either way. I don't know how I ended up getting a hold of it, but it was a 2011. It had a nice trigger. It was good. It was a good gun. Got it. Still sucks, right? So I shot that gun for a little while and realized, I'm like, well, this is not helping me do anything. I just have a nicer gun that I still produce, bottom of the barrel practice scores with. So ended up getting rid of it the first time.
Oh, what?
Got rid of it, went back to a 17, built a new 17 because I built up a 17. It was all set, sold that thing, funded the 2011, got the 20, sold the 2011, probably took a loss on it, built a new 17 and went back to the 17. And at that point, from that point forward, I really worked on becoming a better shooter and understanding that the platform wasn't going to make me any better. Obviously, I went back to the 2011 platform for the reasons that we've already talked about.
Yeah.
I think it's a great platform. I think it's fun to shoot. I think the recoil impulse is better. I think the grip angle is better. If I can, if it didn't have safeties like a Glock, I think that would be a lot better. But you got to win some, you lose some, right? Yep. But I worked on my actual pistol marksmanship for a long time, got better, and then I ended up getting that STI that I used to shoot. Once I realized that I was getting okay, and I saw what it could improve in my game, where again I could relax the fundamentals sometimes. Maybe maybe my grip out of the holster is not quite as good, but that full frame, full steel frame is kind of going to help me control that recoil a little bit more than a plastic frame Glock.
And one-handed shooting, whether it's strong hand or weak hand, dude, 2011, sweet.
It's good. The recoil impulse is phenomenal. Perceived recoil on that gun is off, and all of 2011. But I say, I tell everybody that I can go anywhere and place the exact same as I do with any 2011 with a comparable, the Glock, or pretty much stock Glock. It's fundamental. If I'm pulling the trigger the right way that day, again, I'm gonna have a hard time missing.
Yeah.
If I'm not, that's great. You could put a 1.5 pound trigger in my hand, I'm still gonna miss. It doesn't matter. If I'm just pulling the trigger like a jerk, then that's an issue.
Yeah.
You're still gonna have a hard time.
My problem is I get cocky. I'll go like 5 for 5 and then I'll be like miss. And I'm like, damn it, because I wanted to speed up.
Yeah, that's the visual patience. See, you don't even know. It's all about just seeing enough.
Yeah. I shot that stupid steel challenge match, and I say stupid because it's frustrating because it should be simple and easy, but then you see your shots like as you miss, right? They're very unforgiving. So I wanted to go 1 for 1 instead. Every single time I would go 1 for 1. It would totally be faster than me going 1 for 2 on one plate and then the rest.
Yeah. I've never shot like a sanctioned like steel challenge match, but that's something I'd be into. I think it would be fun.
Visual patience, that will test you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I've shot like steel challenge type matches to where it wasn't like the setup, but it was a similar idea of how the matches ran. And it was a lot of fun. But you're right though. That'd be one of those things that I dabble in it a little bit, but being the same setup every single time.
I
would get bored.
Yeah.
But still, I understand. It's important. There's a lot of good things that you can get out of it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Again, patience for sure. Why going 1 for 1 is faster, even with makeup shots. But yeah, and then just the different platforms, and totally I think every match serves a purpose, or every like discipline. I mean, for that one, it really is an entry level, right? So it's really the youngest kids can start there. The newest shooters can come out and not feel intimidated either. So
absolutely. And you can, and the best guys in the game continue to go out, and they're breaking their world records every single year.
It's crazy.
That's what's awesome. Did Casey win it this year? I think.
Did he win open? Maybe.
Don't quote me on it.
Grant Kunkel won overall because he set a world record, but Casey might have won open. I don't know.
Either way, point of the story is, 5 years ago, those guys were running stuff, and it was mind-blowingly fast. Yeah. And every year it gets faster. Every year. At what point is it going to stop? That's why I love shooting, because it's not like you're never going to be the best guy. I don't care who the number one guy in 3-gun is right now, but if he doesn't continue to work and get better, he's not going to be the number one guy next year.
Oh yeah,
there's no two ways about it. Like, you have to continue to work. It's not like, oh, I got the skill set, now I'm going to sit at my house and drink Busch Light. Not going to dry fire. I'm just going to show up to these matches and dominate.
Yeah.
You might be far enough away from the pack for a couple months, but eventually some 19-year-old kid's going to come up and he's going to start winning.
Damn those juniors. We talk about that all the time.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Kicking ass. Oh
I'm
man.
telling you, they are.
Yeah, no, I know. I didn't know about a junior shooter when I went to South Carolina sectionals. I was like, I'm going to win High Lady. I'm going to be top PCC girl to all that. Yeah, no, I was second of all of that because this junior girl just whooped my butt. I'm trying to get her on the podcast too, because I was like, holy crap, you've been doing this forever. And I was watching her stages versus my stages, and I'm probably like a couple of seconds behind her, but similar in movement. I'm like, I have a lot to learn watching videos, which brings me to my next point. You share a lot on social media. So what do you see like the content is most helpful that maybe you watch and learn from versus like stuff that's just on social media that like has no value to you?
Yeah. So I try to learn from everything, whether it's an instructional piece of information. If somebody's good at doing something, doesn't matter what it is. If somebody's got an awesome reload or they load the shotgun well, or it doesn't matter. I mean, I've got like recordings of like people on my phone, shady, like creepy, but they're doing something well, and I'm watching it, and then once I figure out I get it, I'll delete it. But I think you could learn from anybody on social media. Some of that informative, material is good, but I need something that's tailored to me. So, unless this guy, if I'm really working on, whatever it is I'm working on, if that pops up in my feed, and the feed's tricky because 90% of my feed is Amazon deals and like not firearms related stuff, when that's the only people I follow.
Yeah.
But regardless, so if what I'm trying to work on that day is not in my feed, that is what it is. So, and that's kind of rare, right? Nobody's tailoring their social media for me. But I'll find something, if somebody's drawing and shooting a gun, I'm interested. Maybe, the transitions or something.
Yeah.
So I get a lot of stuff, out of just watching people do things that they're good at, period. A lot of people are good at a lot of things.
Name some of the accounts or some of the people that you follow on social media for like people listening, that you would recommend them watch.
So first and foremost, my man,
Jack.
Joe Farewell.
No, I thought you were going to say yourself. Okay, go.
No. I don't put out a lot of informative stuff. I most of my social media is videos I've taken of me to figure out what I'm doing, and then I'll post it up there because maybe somebody looked at it the same way I do, and like, I just want to learn how to do this, so I put it up there. That's how my social media started. I should do a better job on telling people what I'm doing, but and we've talked about that multiple times. I will eventually, once my life calms down.
I'm giving up on you. That's never going to happen. Okay, go ahead.
No, probably not. Joe Farewell, because he does exactly what I've talked about right there. He really breaks it down. Dude's a phenomenal instructor. I've taken classes with him. He's a great guy. He puts out that consistent. It's his job now, right? So it wasn't always his job, but now it's his job to shoot and teach guns, right?
And there's not many of us that have that full time. Like, we might do it on the side, or it might just be a passion, but it's a full-time job to do marketing.
he took a leap, and he's in it, and so you're going to guarantee that he's going to continue to put out useful content. And even before he took the leap, he was putting it out anyways, but now guys got even more motivation, and he's such a good guy, and I'm so pumped up for him because he's killing it, right? He's always, I just talked to him the other day. He's always somewhere else. He's always teaching.
I remember y'all's live streams together. It was really cute.
Oh yeah, he's been at the house. But you can't say enough good things about Joe, right? Like he's phenomenal. Right up there. One of the guys that I watch nonstop is Scott Green. Scott Green, he's got such a relaxed shooting style. Yeah. He's so good. All right. He's a monster. Me and Scott, so I've never even talked to Scott really, but we're completely opposite ends of the spectrum. Like, I can't shoot like Scott. Super relaxed, everything's smooth. His vision is phenomenal. Whereas I would make my money in short bursts of movement, kind of similar to the way Joe shoots, right? Yeah. And Joe would tell you that he doesn't shoot at all like Scott. But Scott's style of shooting, whether he knows it or not, is so much fun to watch, right? Like, he's so smooth at everything. The guy, I've never seen the guy miss. He's awesome. So, and he doesn't put out a lot. I don't think he has a big account. He doesn't put out a lot of informative stuff, or even he's not really big on it. He's probably busy. He's busy getting better, realistically. but he is the number one. I'm constantly on his account, like stalking his stuff and watching like his first person PCC videos because they blow my mind, right? Like he's awesome. So right there, those two are my top because that's in my realm, right? Like you know, the competition shooting, and they're both probably some of the top two guys in 3-gun currently. And they're never gonna they're gonna stay there because they're continuing to get better. Scott doesn't you don't see a lot, but the dude gets better every year. You can watch his videos. And he's
like John Waddell is another one where he's like, it doesn't matter if I'm not junior anymore. I don't need top junior because he's always overall winner. It's like,
oh yeah. I watch a lot of his stuff. I mean, there's so many, and you know what's rough about the way the everything is right now is you got to like seek out these people, right? Like I have to type your name in to my search bar on Instagram in order to see what you've posted in the last 2 weeks because I'm not going to see it regardless. You know, BattleBuddy3Gun, you know, I'm linked to their account. I don't see their posts unless they tag me in it. So you have to like seek these people out. Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. But you have to like seek these people out. So I'm sure I miss a lot of good shooters, but those two are like ones that I'm constantly checking. Scott will put up like a new video and I get pumped up because his style is on a different level.
Yeah. And so pro tip, if you go to someone's Instagram profile for all you boomers like Jack, you can hit on the options. I think it's 3 dots and you can actually click on like get notified of new posts. So I do that for some accounts because it's important. All you boomers.
You guys should do that. I didn't know that was a thing, but hit my 3 dots and hit that up because
I'll go ahead and do a screen share for you.
There you go. I need it. Yeah, absolutely.
Do you want to talk about BattleBuddy3Gun a little bit too, since you're involved with that?
Yeah. So very cool setup, right? Little background. I met Jeff Combs, who owns Lima Charlie, a while ago, before the 3-Gun Nation stuff down in Florida, because he's the one who facilitated me to come down there and shoot it. He was the shirt sponsor for the match, and you know he does a lot of stuff. I met Jeff. Jeff, if you guys don't know, is Jeff's in a chair. He's in a wheelchair, right? That's how he gets around currently. No use of the legs, right? So you know he was there at that match. He's super pumped up. Jeff's a Marine. Me and him weren't in the Marine Corps together, but we were both in the Marines. So you know we had that connection right there, and he's immediately pumped up on shooting. And not too long after that match, I don't know how long he'd been thinking about it prior, but me and him talked quite a bit, and he's like, "Hey man, I want to shoot 3-gun," and it never crossed my mind. Maybe I was selfish about it, but it never crossed my mind. You know, like I've never seen it in 3-gun, right? Like some of he can't, you know, you go to Texas 3-Gun Championship, like you're not getting a chair through there.
No, I mean, the only thing I've seen is the gentleman that shoots with his foot for USPSA. I can't remember his name either. And then I saw an archer that has no arms that uses his foot too to shoot archery, which is powerful. But yeah, 3-gun. So we've got terrain problems. We've got the range, layout and all that. And then just getting around from 3 different guns.
Absolutely. So he asked me if I thought it was possible. And my mentality is absolutely it's possible, you know, and I told him, like, you know, again, I've got a range facility in my backyard that's really awesome. Not my backyard, but obviously the facility. I'm like, come down South Carolina, come get with me and we will figure it out. And man, he came down, and we've got the early videos of rolling around in a chair and trying to work it all out. Me shooting, I tell you, it was an eye opener for me shooting in the chair too, because I understand the 3-gun, right? 3-gun's easy. The idea of 3-gun is easy. I was right?
Say, what?
Yeah.
I mean, you're not winning matches, Jack. No.
Yeah. The idea of 3-gun is easy. And for me to sit down in the chair and then actually shoot, obviously it's a game changer. So we've been working on that for a while, trying to get it worked out. We put on our first match, had some big guys come down there. Jerry was down there.
That little guy, Jerry.
Yeah, Jerry, you know, the legend.
Legend.
But either way, we put on a match, and we've got it worked out now to where and realistically, my idea when making this stuff happen was I wanted you to be able to come shoot a 3-gun match, and there's no difference, right? Like you don't notice, but also, guys in chairs to be able to come and shoot that same 3-gun match. So you can come shoot my 3-gun match, and there's no difference at all, right? Like you'll have a good time at the match. Yeah. It won't be any Texas 3-gun championship terrain, obviously. But
want that or the weather, please.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I saw that this year. Yeah, I missed out on that.
Right.
But it was definitely awesome. Now there's still plenty more challenges that we got to figure out, right? So I've been working with Jeff on and not the chair portion, but actually attaching firearms and whatnot to the chair, right? Safely. That's a big deal. Yeah. Because that's the number one thing. So right now it's a little bit tricky with loading shotgun. I have solutions for that, and not the actual loading of the shotgun because that's already tricky. But figuring out where to put stuff. Chest rigs are an option. I have chest rigs. We can do that. Yep. But we're coming up with an entire design. I think Jeff's working on it. I don't know that I could talk specifics on it. It's like that serious.
Yeah.
But it's going to be, and I can relate it to when I first started playing 3-gun because it's undoubtedly a game. We made a lot of stuff, right? Like you had to make it.
Yeah.
It didn't exist. I talked to Jerry about that when he was in South Carolina, like, because Jerry's been in the game for forever. He shot 3-gun way longer than probably anybody. And we talked about that where, when we were talking about the situation that we're talking about right now, you had to make stuff. Like you couldn't go like, oh, King competition didn't exist. Like, oh, I need the best, I need the best shell caddies in the world. Go to King competition. They'll get them to you in a week. They'll be
I use a PVZ pipe for my scope sunshade.
Yeah. I mean, and you still got to make stuff because, the more I see, I find things that I don't like about certain stuff, and I'm still making things. Like I'm in that room, drill bits and plastic and Kydex. I just, but you have to make these things.
Have you seen the shotgun one though? Have you seen the shotgun sunshade? Just you tear a piece of the box off and you duct tape it onto your scope.
No, but that's awesome. I would do that, I'm sure.
Simple fix. Yeah, but
yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. Or you could spend $25 on Brownells and be all set.
Yeah.
Or you could have, I've got shotgun boxes all over the place. We're good.
Oh yeah. I saw a gentleman's been shooting revolver for a very long time. My friend Rich Wolf, and he shoots for Hogue, but he's the only one that doesn't have those new moon clip belts where it sits like upright. He's got this cool circle one with like a pin. I forgot how he made it. It's like a shower curtain rod something. I don't know, but he got really innovative so he can load faster. And again, he created it and he's like, I've had this for like 10 years, 15 years, and it's worked forever.
And that's what's so awesome about it. Like you could figure the most of the people in the community will just figure it out, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just, if something's not right, and some people will just deal with it, it is what it is. I'm not that type of guy either. I got a brand new holster for this gun. I didn't like some things about it. I've been cutting on it. It's still not perfect. But like just certain things, like if it's not right, I'm going to fix it until I either break it or it's perfect. One of the two. Hopefully it's perfect. If not, I mean, it wasn't meant to be. I'll find something new that'll work. Yeah. I got this gun and I immediately started shaving down safeties. I didn't like the angle of them. So I'm dremeling safeties, and now it fits my hand better based on my grip. Does somebody make safeties that would work better? Probably, but I can make it in that room right there with a little bit of metal shavings, and now it fits my hand, and I don't bump the safety when I have my grip on the gun.
Nice.
That's what we need.
That's what you need. Okay, so the shooters that I have on here, I do ask. I don't know if you do have one or not. Have you ever DQ'd?
Yeah, I did. I had to think about it. I DQ'd I DQ'd a USPSA match. This was a good. So I shoot USPSA.
Yep.
I shoot anything. It doesn't matter to me.
Yep.
It was I've known Brian Church for a while. We were getting into 3-gun, doing this stuff, but he was shooting. He was heavy, like you said, in USPSA. He's a good shooter. I'm like, man, I'm gonna come down there and shoot some USPSA with you one day. I go, now, we could blame it on whatever, but we're not going to blame it on nothing. I was having some serious ammo issues that day, nightmare of ammo issues. Either way. So my first match, like stage 2 of like the shooting with Brian. Brian had shot with me. He knew I was doing pretty good. I DQ'd a USPSA match. That's the only match that I've ever DQ'd. I definitely, I try to pride myself on being. I think everybody does. And at the end of the day, there's nothing you can do about it. If you're racing guns, something's going to happen. So long as we can, we're safe.
Yeah.
Generally, not a big deal, right? If somebody's arguing that 180, okay, I'm not here to argue. I'm here to have a good time. But if you're racing guns, something's going to happen eventually. We're going to break guns. We're going to DQ. Joe just posted that video.
The middle finger, yeah.
Yeah.
And on the side stage, man. I mean, Logan Tolan did the same thing. He had finished the match, and I think it was the Gen 3 gun or whatever. But anyways, and he forgot that he put one in his gun. So I don't know how he does this. So he Barney's the load, and then he puts it back in his mag, and then he just goes to dry fire and sends around. He just unloads, shows clear. He's like, I'm DQ'd. He's like, I'm out.
Yeah. No, I mean, and, that's the thing. I'll tell you what, I do notice. I've been around guns for my entire, I've been around guns professionally for my entire adult life. Consistently every single day. There hasn't been a day since I was 18. I'm 32, so you try to tell people I was old. I'm 32, but there hasn't been a day that I haven't had a gun in my hand. 100%. Whether it's these kind of flashy guns or a work gun, there hasn't been a day that I have not. And I find myself, and not so much in the the work aspect, but out here in my backyard, I find myself every once in a while getting a little bit too relaxed, right?
Yeah.
And you have to be able to recognize that, because again, this is the most natural thing in the world for me to do here. Like it's so natural. It feels good. I could sleep like that. I probably have slept like that. But it's so natural. So we get. I see myself getting a little bit too relaxed sometimes. And you got to bring it back, because at the end of the day, although it's fun and it looks cool, it's still a firearm, right? So we still have to keep in mind what this thing can do. But I see myself doing it all the time. So I don't think anybody should feel bad about it or anything. You just have to recognize when you're at that point. And there's no time frame on this, but every once in a while I notice, like, I'm like, oh, hey, that could have been bad. Like I may, an example is, I'll come off my range in my backyard, come here, and then the next day I'll pick up my gun to dry fire, and it's always a pull, right? Except the 9mm round will come out. I'm like, ooh, how did I mess that up? I obviously I didn't do a good job like clearing, and at that point, like, oh, okay, let's do better, right? And then I might do good for 6 months to a year, right? But stuff happens, you could be. Anything can happen, but healthy respect, while still trying to push what we're trying to do, because I don't want to shoot guns slow, like I want to shoot them as fast as possible, and mistakes happen. So long as the mistakes are downrange, not a big deal, right?
So you never said how you DQ'd.
Oh, I was told that I broke the 180. I was coming back. I was shooting a stage with some forward and directly back movement, which was, is what it was. Shooting limited, came up, shot all the targets on the front, and I was moving back, and I was going to do a reload. Except after I got done shooting the targets there, I had a malfunction. So I went to clear the malfunction, and at some point in there, I was told that I broke the 180 because I was trying to get the mag in the gun, clear the malfunction. I don't think there's any video evidence of it. I would have liked to see it, because if I did, that's a big deal, and it was like an anomaly, like I never have malfunctions with my gun.
Yeah.
I certainly know how to clear them. That's not an issue, but I wasn't prepared to have malfunctions with my gun. I had to have malfunctions all day. I had some rough ammo, even before the ammo shortage of 2021. But it just, I was told that I broke the 180 again. It was stage 2. I was cool with it. I'm not there to argue, not one bit. I'm like, you're all right, sir. I appreciate you.
Right.
Yeah, I'm like, it is what it is. If that's what he said, it was a local match,
Yeah.
Put my gun away, took my belt off, and I paced. I was a GM pacer.
So that's what I was going to ask you. What is the classiest thing a shooter can do after DQing?
You got to stay and hang out, right? I mean, I could understand. You know what? No, that's in my mind. That is what it is. I hung out, and again, I was a GM pacer every single time. So Riley, I don't know, I think Riley and Joe we took a class with them. Those guys. One thing I will say about those guys that you can tell if you ever shot with them, they'll outwork you when they're not shooting as well.
Not me.
Well, and that's good. Yeah. I mean, that's the mindset you have to have, yeah. Right? Like, yeah. I've always done my part, for sure. I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna do everything. That's no problem.
I'm a competitive resetter, and I race people to fill holes and spray paint.
Yeah, and it's a big deal. You have to. That's a big part of the game. Not to get back on Jerry, but Jerry showed up to that match that I put on a day early. Did you guys talk about this?
Yeah, but go ahead and share. Yeah,
a day early, and I was setting up my match, and Jerry, shows up. Like I was in the middle of setting up, and I'm doing things, and somebody's like, "Hey, look who's here!" And it's my range, like I'm there all the time, so nobody that's going to be there is going to surprise me. I'm like, okay, dude, like let's get this stuff set up. I forget who mentioned it. He's like, no, look. I'm like, dude, let's get this stuff set up. I want to go home. Turn around, Jerry's standing behind me. I'm like, whoa, Jerry, good to see you. And he stayed and worked harder than just about anybody there. If there's anybody that doesn't have to go the extra mile, it's Jerry, right?
Right.
100%. I would, if he just shows up, shoots the match, and takes the closest target. Thanks for coming, Jerry. Really. But that's not him. He outworks everybody. The 19-year-olds that are there as well. Help set up the entire match. I think you got to say, to get back to your DQ question. I'm happy to be there. Maybe you learned something. If you mess something up, that's fine. We could think about that later. Watch the other shooters. There's always better shooters than you at the match. So let's learn something, or let's make the guys who are shooting their match a little bit easier. Because if I'm out there, even if it's at a local, if I'm out there trying to win and somebody's pasting targets that I don't have to, and I'm doing my part, but he's doing a little bit more, that's cool. So that's the way I see it. I'm going to try to outwork you, not only in the shooting, in the resetting. I'm gonna have more fun. Drink more Busch Light at the end of the match. Like that.
Busch Light, you make money.
Yeah, I do, but it goes to stuff like this. So we have
no
to
room for beer,
right? Yeah, we have to skip.
No budget.
Yeah.
No, I think the biggest thing that I learned from people when I shoot with them or squad with them is character. And yeah, if you don't reset, and I see that a lot, then I never ever even really want to be your friend at that point too. Almost, it just shows me that you're a shit person. Especially the people too at the very end who leave, so they're the first on the last stage or the second, right? And they're already taken off their belt. And instead of just finishing the next 5 shooters, we have to go to our car. We're done. We're out. I'm like,
yeah,
kills me.
When I run my local matches around here or the BattleBuddy stuff, that is one of the first things that I brief in my my overall match director brief. I'm like, hey, at the last stage, don't go anywhere because you're breaking that down and putting it all at the top side of the bay because you paid $25 to shoot this match, and I appreciate you being here, but it's not a major. You didn't spend $300, and we don't have ROs here running each stage. So do me a favor and help me help you so I can continue to put this match on because it's a lot of work.
Oh yeah.
I'm setting it up with 3 guys, so I've already put it all out.
Yeah.
And I like doing it, so I'm not complaining. But hey, it would be really awesome if you stayed and just took down 4 targets and brought them to the top side of the base so that I can come around with my truck and trailer and throw them on the truck and trailer, and we'll be all set. Everybody will be happy. I'll put your scores up on practice score 2 hours early because I'll be able to get home 2 hours early.
That's right. You hold the power.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. So listening to that, be a good sportsman with all of that. It's not always about the shooting, right?
No, it's not. You can, yeah, you got to have a good time, right? It's no matter how I'm shooting, I've shot matches, plenty of matches where I have not shot well. But you'll never tell. I'm still having a good time. Now, I'm probably going home and analyzing video and trying to see what I'm messing up. But you're not going to come up to me and be like, yo, what's wrong, Jack? You good? You'll never tell. You can't tell if I'm in first place or 150th place. Like I'm having a good time. I'm shooting guns, really. I'm going to get a good Instagram video regardless, whether I'm hitting the targets or not, right?
What's been your favorite 3-gun match you've shot?
Oh, man. Ooh. That's good. So, Texas is, I think Texas 3-gun is pretty awesome. It's so different than what I get out here on the East Coast. It's pretty awesome. Some of the matches up in Vegas are pretty cool as well. So there's so many good. I think the best part about 3-gun in general is because it's all over the place. These matches are so different. You can't have another Texas 3-gun championship in South Carolina. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't. It's impossible. You can't have the Clinton House matches in Texas. You just can't have those type matches. Yeah. So it's pretty cool. Texas is probably up there. I think the facility in Florida, if they put on bigger matches, I think that facility would be good.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We need to work on that. Somebody needs to work on that.
It got sold. So, anyways.
Okay, next. So that's gone. All right.
Gone.
That's upsetting.
What about what are your favorite stage types? Base stage, terrain stage, long range. Like, what's your favorite thing to shoot?
I like. I think you would probably think right off the bat that I'm going to say a base stage, right? Like I think you would think that. I don't like
crush it, but yeah.
Yeah, well, I like that. So I would like an extended base stage, something like hybrid. So when I put on I have a 500-yard rifle range at the local range. So I put on it's almost like a half a base stage with some extended range rifle. So a lot of movement. That's where I make my money. If you give me super tight USPSA stages, I'm a middle of the road guy because I don't have although my movement is pretty good. I'm not next level type. So, I'll shoot it. I'll get decent hits. But give me some room to move around. Some Texas 3-gun almost. But give me some room to move around and that'll be good. So I like to shoot the guns fast, close rifle, but I also want to stretch it out. I like 400 or 500-yard shots with the rifle. So this pistol has really changed the game. I'm having a hard time missing lately. So anything with the pistol, and then a lot of shotgun, right? So jungle runs are fun.
You haven't shot that in a match yet, though.
No, not yet. Yeah, but I will shoot it next weekend.
Yeah, this whole can't miss. Okay.
Hey, look at my Instagram. I tell you, I didn't take 10 takes.
Yeah, I'll remember
that. Yeah. No, it's good. I feel like I've been shooting the pistol well. I've really been focusing on deliberate reps because I can't go out and blow 1,000 rounds. So got to get it zeroed, got to get it right in my hand. So a lot of deliberate reps. I was dry firing before we jumped on this call.
Nice. Yeah. Oh gosh, I forgot what I was going to talk about with that. Well, what is one piece of tool or one piece of gear that you can't go to a match without, and it can't be a firearm? Like your favorite thing that you have?
Gum.
Oh, I forgot about that. That is a thing.
It helps me focus, I think. I don't know. I chew a lot of gum in general, but I really I can focus more on what I need to execute rather than overthink, because I get in trouble when I start thinking too much. As soon as I'm I need to just get the plan in my head and just execute the plan. Nothing more, nothing less. I just need to execute my plan. So it does help me kind of just focus on executing. That's the main thing.
And you're an obnoxious gum chewer.
Oh yeah, especially when I'm shooting.
I hate it.
Not normally. Like if I was chewing gum right now, it would be okay. But when I'm shooting, it's different because I'm focused on chewing the gum and just letting the gums do what they want to do. So it's different. Like only for the 33 seconds that I'm shooting the gun. Am I obnoxious?
Yeah.
After on the 34 second, we're unloading show clear, I'm back to normal like a normal human being.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that the shot timer when I'm ROing you picked up the gum chews.
Yeah, it probably did. It was probably good splits on it too, though.
There you go.
I'm like a 15 split on gum chewing, so it's pretty good.
Oh yeah. So I have been asking all shooters this, so you can share if you want to, but the 3-gun community brings people from all different like walks of life, different industries that they work in. So I know what you do, but do you want to share what you do full time?
I work in law enforcement currently, and I normally don't. That's like breaking news for you, Mackenzie, because I don't. You can tell my social media. Obviously, I was in the military, but I don't put stuff out like that. Not that I'm not proud of it. Not that it is. But I do work in law enforcement. We'll leave it at that. But and again, not that I'm not pumped up about it, but I don't want. Even if it would, let's say I talked up the law enforcement stuff and it got me 1,600 followers. I don't want them. I want people to follow me or to watch my videos because of what I accomplished with firearms, more than what I have here or what I do for a living. Some of the military plays a big role. You got to provide some validity, I think, with what you can do, especially because I take no part in the tactical community on social media, right? Like you won't see me post any of the tactical stuff. I love competitive shooting because at the end of the day, it's results on target in the time. If you are consistently get better results at a faster time, your technique is better than mine. There's nothing to argue, right? Mm-hmm. Like you can't. I don't care how it looks. If you consistently do it better, it's a better technique, and I should go to that.
I mean, you care how it looks a little bit,
I love how it would. It's a big deal on how it looks, but at the end of the day, I'll get silly if it changed.
Yeah.
But I don't, and I'm not talking bad about the tactical community. I've lived in the tactical community for my entire adult life. That is the other side. That's on the opposite side of the camera.
But I wanted you to share that because how different is that training compared to like what you do to learn on the side, right? Like you can't get that in the law enforcement.
No, you can't. Or the military. I started shooting 3-gun. Besides my buddy getting me into it, I didn't feel like I was getting what I wanted, right? And there's a lot of people in law enforcement or a lot of people in 3-gun. You're not going to get the one-on-one time to really become as good as you want to become. Some people are perfectly satisfied with touching a gun once a year, shooting it, and that's fine. I'm not satisfied. If I go a day without touching a gun and really working on something to get better, it bothers me.
Yeah, I know.
So it's not everybody's like that. Not everybody has the same mindset, and that's fine. I'm okay with it.
Oh, that's my everything. I mean, lately I can't walk out my backyard and go shoot a gun like you can, but lately, I don't know if you've seen, I've gotten to archery a little bit. So, I'll go dry fire, not really dry fire, but I'll go practice. I'll at least put an hour in. I'm like, shoot. And it surprises me how fast that hour goes, like 100%. I'm like, that was fun.
I don't understand. And again, I'm not here to judge anybody, but I don't understand how people are okay with being okay.
Yeah.
I've never done anything in my life that I was mediocre and okay with it. I want to get better. I'm super competitive on anything, right? If you're at the house and we're grilling burgers, like I want my burgers to be better than yours. I do. I want them. I want everybody in the house to acknowledge that mine were better than yours. I want that. And it's not that yours aren't good. I just want to be better.
I mean, my eyewear is better than yours.
Absolutely. And if it is, that's fine. I'm not mad at you for it. I'm just going to go, like the next time you come over, I'll have work for however long it took me to work to get better. And then I'll bring that in. And you won't see me do that work. It'll be behind the scenes. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you'll come over, you're like, wow, this is the best burger I've ever had. I'm like, I know, I've been working on it for 3 weeks.
Can't with you.
But that's my mindset though in everything. Everything I've ever done, I've wanted to be the best. Whether I've made it there or not, that's fine. But that's my mentality. I'm not okay with being mediocre. I'm not a real tall guy. You can't tell. That's awesome. We'll leave it at that. I don't play. I'm a terrible basketball player. You'll never see me play basketball. There's not one picture of me playing basketball. I don't enjoy it.
You'd be like the libero in volleyball, little short person, always like.
I'll make it happen. Hey, I'm good with it. But
like
you know,
Tom Cruise.
And Top Gun at volleyball, you're damn right. That's one of the best teams in the world. I wish I had somebody to give me a high five right now. That would be awesome. Top Gun's one of the best movies ever made. All right, next question.
We digress. Yeah. Although I want to see the new Top Gun. Hopefully that comes out finally. Thanks, COVID.
We'll see. Yeah.
I just want to ask one question about like the military to civilian life or your career. Did you plan that, while you were still in the Marine Corps, or was that something that like you struggled with coming out, transitioning into civilian life?
What do you mean plan what?
Your career, like going into law enforcement. Did you know that was what you were going to do, when you were going to get out, I guess?
No. I say this very lightheartedly. Joined the military when I was younger, right? It was 2006. So it was pretty, there was some stuff going on in the military. I wanted to be involved. I was planning on doing 4 years and getting out. Turned out that I was pretty decent at doing the job, and I had my first 4 years had gone by pretty quickly, and I didn't have anything set up. My parents are awesome, but I had no desire to go back home. So I didn't have anything set up. They waved some money in front of my face and said, "Hey, if you hang out for another little while, we'll give you this money." I'm like, "Well, awesome," because I didn't have a plan. So thanks for having me. So I ended up doing 10 years. Never planned on making it past 25 in my life. Never had a plan past that, right? Like it was pretty wild. And again, I say that lightheartedly, but I really didn't. I never planned on making it past 25. So I never thought about what I was going to do to be, in my life. I tattooed my arms up. I was like, whatever, it is what it is. I don't have to worry about this. But I also never wanted to stay in the military forever. I didn't, although it's a very good setup, that was never a desire either.
Yeah.
Then I got involved in, again, my last 3 years, once everything kind of started to quiet down. I instructed on the East Coast at the School of Infantry. So I was an instructor over there. Really kind of felt like I got pretty good at being an instructor. And I realized that I liked to communicate pretty well. Still had no clue what I was going to do. The only reason why I got involved in law enforcement is because I thought it would be an easy transition. And 100% the facts. I never had a desire to be in law enforcement. I never had a desire to do 10 years in the military.
Jack.
I just kind of made it happen. But I got out of the military after 10 years on a Friday, came to work for my current, where I work currently on a Monday. So I took a weekend off after 10 years, started a new career where, it's been 6 years now, 5 years since I've done that. It's good. I love it. If something better came up, I would go do that. 100%.
Yeah, it's a tough life right now for LEOs. And okay, so for military actually listening though, would you say not to do what you did and to like come up with a plan and like prepare for that life?
Yeah. So everybody that I talk to that you should plan something out. So it's good. The military was a great place. It's not for everybody. It was 100% what I needed. I'd have probably, drank or smoked myself out of college, and if I went right out of high school, no doubt about it. Military set me up for success. Yeah. It was perfect for me, and I needed it for 10 years. I definitely 4 years wasn't enough. 20 was too long, so I went 10, halfway through a very successful career. But it's good, and they have all sorts of tools for you to get set up. So you're doing yourself a favor, and you can get out with some skills and really do something. Vice like me, where you just wing it the whole time. You happen to be 32, halfway successful, so it's okay. But if I had a plan, I imagine where I would have been. I probably wouldn't be here. Right?
I mean, you're still young. I say that because I'm younger. What an ass.
Yeah. No, I wish I felt young, but I am young. I got a birthday coming up, June 9th. For everybody.
That's awesome.
33.
I love that. So, okay, rounding out the podcast, what would you say is like your best piece of advice for whether it's new shooters, advanced shooters, or just anyone out there listening to this podcast?
You gotta what we talked about earlier. You can learn something from anybody, right? And I think some of the best guys in the world know that.
Yep.
Jerry will ask you what your stage plan is if it's your first 3-gun match. Like, he'll come up to you, and he's not just asking to be a nice guy. He's taking into consideration because maybe you saw something he didn't. Yeah. Jerry shot more stages than I can ever even imagine in my life. And he's going to ask you or me what your stage plan is. Hey, what are you thinking about doing here? And he's serious and he's listening.
Yeah.
And he's taking into account, and he's like, well, that's pretty good. And that's awesome. So you have to be always learning, right? You can't never stop.
Yep.
I bounce ideas off people, Joe, and I don't care who it is. I get questions quite a bit, and then I ask questions back to people. I definitely don't have the biggest social media account, but I'm super humbled enough to where some people ask me some pretty good firearms questions, and that's awesome. I'm happy to be that guy. Yeah. If I don't know, I'll point you in the right direction.
Yep.
But I'm a big why, right? So yep. I just, why do you do this? Or what do you do here? Well, I do this because this is what I've learned, right? There's not one thing that I do that doesn't have a reason. Because if it didn't have a reason, I got to find out. It has to make sense. So you always have to learn, right?
Yeah. I think, and then people always ask me, like, how'd you, at least for cowboy, actually, I got pretty good. And they're like, how'd you get so good? I was like, well, I've missed more than you. I've practiced more than you. I've shot more stages than you. And that's the thing that Jerry will tell you, like, I've missed more. Or
Jerry said something. So I've had a couple of like light bulb moments. Just
a couple? No.
Yeah, well, like where it's like, I don't know if anybody else can relate. I'm sure they can, but I remember I was in my on my range, so I haven't lived here for that long. I've been here 5 years, so it's been in the last 5 years where I remember watching a video that Jerry did, and this was years and years ago. Jerry said that I shot for a long time and never saw anything. That's exactly. I'm pretty sure that's exactly what he said. At least that's how I remember it. And I thought it was funny at the time. I was like, Jerry, yeah, that's funny. This guy never misses. I was in the backyard, had 2 like 6-inch targets up, and I was working transitions. And you always hear how to work a transition, right? Like your eyes lead the gun, right? Like that's exactly what you do. I know what they said. I never did it the right way until that day, right? Don't know what changed, but I was working on it. And I saw it happen. I watched the transition. I called a good shot. My eyes were gone. I was on the next target. The sight settled. I pulled the trigger. I watched it happen. And right then and there, and it had been years before when I heard Jerry say what he said, I was like, that's what he meant. Like, that's what he meant. Because I had been doing these transitions. I wasn't miserable. I certainly missed and didn't know why sometimes. That's an issue. But that's what he meant with that. At least that's what I think. I should talk to Jerry about it because I talk to him fairly regularly.
It's like interpreting a poem.
I should ask Jerry if that's what he meant, because maybe it doesn't, or maybe I shouldn't because it means this much.
Just leave it. Yeah, leave it alone. That's like your revelation that you have to hold dear.
Exactly. But he said that, and all of a sudden I'm like, wow, that makes sense. Like, because I've been shooting and again, this was 5 years ago, so I've been shooting for a while prior. I never saw anything. I've been shooting for a long time, never saw anything. I can relate to that. But I thought it was funny at the time. I thought it was a joke. Now, come to find out, at least in my heart, it meant something, and it means something to me. It's wild though.
So, are there any sponsors, any gear, any gun that you want to give a shout out to?
Okay, yeah, we talked about a couple of them here already, but Devil Dog Concepts, right? The original OG Jack Shoots 29 supporter. I put that charging handle on somebody's gun. I purchased one, put it on my gun, made a video of it because I thought it was awesome. Not because and at that time I never worked with I haven't worked with any other companies at that time. And I was like, this is just a great product. I want everybody to understand this, because just like I told you in the beginning, like I thought the platform was perfect. Now you put that on it, I'm like, well, this is better. So that, I've got probably 750,000 rounds through a rifle, and that's changed my life. So big deal. So they are one of the original Jack Shoot supporters. Lima Charlie, Jeff, Those guys have been supporting me for a while. They do a lot of good for the 3-gun community, obviously, making awesome shirts like this one, doing it for matches. But Jeff is, not only does he make a hell of a shirt, he's a really good guy.
Yep.
He's gotten me to a lot of places and helped me shoot some matches. Where I met you, I wouldn't have been down there in Florida, obviously, if it wasn't for Jeff.
Wasn't for that, or wasn't for shooting, we never would have met.
No, absolutely. So Jeff with Lee and Charlie, he's awesome. That guy's got his hand in a lot of stuff. Chad, Priority One holsters, right? Like I've been running Priority One holsters for a long time. Top notch, best. That plastic, fantastic, right? Like it's phenomenal. He does good work. He's also a good guy. He does a lot of stuff for the community. I enjoy it. Kratos, my man Russ with the rifles. Like I told you, we could spend $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000. He'll build you a $6,000 rifle. I mean, sure. It'll probably be gold plated. I don't know, because his competition rifle that's based off what me and him built together, it's like $1,600 out of the box. Don't quote me on the price. Maybe it's gone up, Rona price.
Yeah, who knows?
but it might be close, right? It's not obnoxious, and you can go anywhere and win with that gun. I've had zero issues. I don't clean it. He doesn't get upset at me, but he's like, "Dude, when was the last time you cleaned it?" I'm like, I don't know. I have like, the gold bolts in those guns. They're black, so it is what it is.
Ew.
Yeah, I don't clean my stuff. I'm bad at it. Grizzly ears, awesome. Been using Grizzly ears for a long time. Got AirPods Pro in my head right now, but that's not the point.
I told him to put the Grizzly ears in from the beginning. Go ahead.
She did tell me. But my problem with my thing is they stay in my shooting bag, because once you get away from muffs and you get into in-ears, you'll never go back.
No, 100%. I haven't looked back, and dude, the pressure point on your head just squeezes it to death forever. It's so annoying. Sweaty ears.
The heat in the summer. I mean, out here in South Carolina, it gets pretty hot. I wore muffs for years and years.
I was gonna say, the cheek weld on a rifle and a shotgun, it's super easy to move that earmuff up and out of the way and you can cause some hearing damage. So actually, that's a really good tip for new shooters. Find someone to get you some better ear protection. Yeah. No, and Grizzly's awesome. I've tried a lot of different in-ears, and I've spent a lot of money on in-ears. Well, I knew I wanted them. Yeah. You could spend $3,000 on in-ears. You could spend big money. I wasn't quite ready to pull the trigger on that. But I tried a bunch of different ones. The thing about Grizzly is they're more designed for everybody, right? Like they're going to fit in your ears, whereas some of the other companies, like I couldn't get them to fit in. I don't think I had weird shaped ears, but it didn't work. And they might work for me cutting the grass, right? But now put a shotgun in your shoulder and try to rip, 6 or 7 rounds. Now all the flaws are going to come out. Yeah. Grizzly never falling out. Obviously, they're super comfortable. Very awesome. So I don't work with a whole lot of companies, but those companies are awesome. And I think not only are they good people, but they're making great products for the right price. That's important to me, because you can make the best product in the world, but if you charge $1,000 too much for it, it's a great product for $1,000 less. I want a great product for the right price, because like you said, with 3-gun, it's 1/3 of the equation for anything that you get, so it's the pistol might be this many $1,000, but this is 1/3 of the equation. So we need to make it more affordable. I don't work with these guys, but this gun's affordable and it's been phenomenal. I don't have enough rounds to it to really say, but it's been impressive, and we'll run it and we'll see if it runs as reliably as all my other guns have. So we'll check it out. So you've already said it like 17 different times because you just speak in third person, but how do people find you on social media? And do you have a website for classes, or is it just social media? So social media is the number one thing. No website. Jack Shoots 29. That's my name, right? It is. Yeah. Even though you're going to be Jack Shoots 33. Yeah. 20. I didn't make this with any plan when I opened up all my social medias. I just wanted to post them up there. Here we are now. But I respond to everybody that asks me something serious on social media. So every once in a while you get somebody that's not serious, or some links and stuff. Obviously we're not playing that game, but I respond to everybody. And the reason why is because
everybody has always responded to me.
Yep.
When I first started this stuff, sent Keith Garcia a message. We talked about it, and again, I remember watching Keith on TV. So I've always been humbled in the fact that everybody has always responded to me. So I'll take the time every day of the week. You send me a message at 3:30 in the morning, I'll reply back to you. I'll give you
You might
video.
be up.
I'm probably up. I'll give you video of what I'm talking about. Like, I'll do anything I can to help you out, because people have done it for me. It's not, I'm just passing it along. Everything that I teach or everything that I tell people, I haven't made any of it up. It's just information that I've gotten from somebody that's better than me.
Yeah.
And I've tested it out and seen that it's good and understand why it works. And now I'm going to tell somebody else that I'm just passing along information.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. I haven't made up anything. I haven't nothing groundbreaking. I just figured out what works, and I'll tell you. And maybe tomorrow that changes and I find something better, and I'll tell you then too. It's not a big deal for me. Yeah.
And Jack picks up the phone. Pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I do. I'm happy to talk. It's what I think about. I think about firearms and shooting. So if somebody calls and wants to talk or sends me a message and wants to talk about guns, I'm all about it.
I look at the phone. I was like, that was an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah,
it's easy. So, Jack, thanks for being on the podcast. I appreciate it.
Mackenzie, thanks for having me. I was pumped up when you told me that you were making it, and that you wanted me to be on. So I'm happy to be here. I enjoy talking. I enjoy talking with you, and I enjoy talking about firearms. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And you were the first person I told that I want to do a podcast like a year ago. You remember that? And I was like,
I did.
Hey, would you be on the podcast? You were the only one that I brought that up to, by the way.
Did I say yes then?
Yeah, you did. You're like, I'll chat with you, girl. That's what you said.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
It's really cool.
We made it happen. No, that's awesome. You got like obviously you're everywhere. You travel way more than I do.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome. You get definitely a lot of good insights. I just got your email that I told you about obviously everything being launched. I'm pumped up to see the stuff that comes out. So I'm excited. Maybe a year from now we'll do it again and we'll talk about
100%.
Well, I'll ask you some questions. How about that?
Oh, I like that idea. And we'll do updates every like 6 months, years. That's what I plan. And the reason I'm glad you brought that up. The reason behind this podcast, by the way, is like you said, everyone has something to learn from someone. So I'm not just here interviewing the best, or I'm not gonna say.
I know it's because I'm on here.
No, everyone says that. No, everyone says that, but it's like truly everyone has something to learn. And like you said, it could be a different discipline. Maybe that's something that somebody shoots, or maybe a different gun, but you can still apply it to a PCC or a pistol or open, and you know what I mean. So hopefully this teaches somebody something.
Yeah, no, I like I enjoy all the shooting podcasts. Some of them are better than others, but I tend to have a lot of time in a vehicle, so I listen to a lot of stuff. So I'm happy to do it, and I don't read real good, so podcasts are the way for me.
Love it.
Clearly, well is the right word for that, but we use good for the right reasons,
Oh yeah, there you go. All right, well, thanks again, Jack. And tune in next week for our next episode on the Reticle Up podcast. Thanks for listening to the Reticle Up podcast. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Follow along on social media at Reticle Up or 3Gun Kenzie.